Yo! Welcome back, Wolf Gang. This is the Fantasy Fixers Podcast, and I'm your host, Winston Wolf. We are 3 subscribers away from 100, and we will reach this milestone by the next Waiver Wire episode. So you must listen to that actual episode next week in order to get the details for the giveaway, and you must have PayPal or Cash App to enter. If you're new to the channel, smash the sub button. You know what time it is. Now, I usually do a recap show for the previous week, but we're going to do something a little different this time around. We're going to go beyond the box score, and then I'll give you the best waiver wire ads for week 6. All right, let's start with the London game. Romeo Doubs didn't kill you, but it wasn't the performance you was expecting after he has been inserted as the wide receiver 1 of the Packers. Doubs had 3 grabs for 29 yards. He played on 85% of the snaps, and Christian Watson doesn't seem like a threat at all to his playing time. Now, Cobb had 12 targets in this game, and this is triple the amount he's seen in each and every game this year. All players have down games, and Doubs will be back to his true form momentarily. He leads the team in routes ran, receptions, and targets. All right, now you should have seen how I was punching the air when Mercedes Lewis caught the TD for the Packers. Look at this split. You don't want any tight ends that are splitting time. And all 4 Green Bay Packers tight ends caught a pass, and Green Bay is more than comfy than rolling all of these guys out. Why would Mercedes Lewis run 14 routes? He's 87 years old. Come on, Packers, help me. All right, let's get to the Bills versus the Steelers games. The Bills beat the snot out of the Steelers, and it was what we expected out of a rookie QB on the road. But this game was over before the flight landed. If you started Gabe Davis, congrats. It only took 3 receptions for him to score 30 points. Khalil Shakur, don't go chasing this stat line. This was a result of him getting a lot of playing time with Jameson Crowder out with a fractured ankle, Isaiah McKenzie out with he's in concussion protocol, and Dawson Knox out with a hammy. I think this is McKenzie's role to play full-time next week and should be added in all formats. When it comes to the Steelers, Pickett did show some fight in this game. The biggest problem is the Pete Carroll play calling, run on the first, second down, and pass on 3rd and long. You're getting blown out. Take the training wheels off and let him learn and make mistakes and grow. The Pickett to Pickens connection is a real thing. George Pickens went 6 for 83. Deontay Johnson, he will be fine. He's still the wide receiver 1 of this team by leading in every wide receiver measure from targets, reception, and yards. But you know what's crazy about this team? They only have 2 passing TDs on the year. That's disgusting. They won't have to face the best team in football every week, so that should soon change. Texans versus the Jags. What an ugly game. Dameon Pierce is the winner of this game by putting up 99 yards in the TD. He ran 13 routes to Burkhead's 9. So he's a back that they're willing to pass the ball to in the right situation. All right, let's get to the Jags. Now, I thought Trevor Lawrence was a must start this week, but a lot of streamers put up duds, a lot of quarterback streamers. The Jags still have an amazing schedule, so I expect them to bounce back in the following weeks. Christian Kirk has put up back-to-back duds, but look at his stats. He played 71 of the 74 snaps. Marvin Jones had 11 targets to his 3. This will change soon. They didn't pay Kirk all that money to not pass him the ball. Buy low on Christian Kirk. All right, this was Travis Etienne's best game of the year. He split down the middle for carries with James Robinson, but secured the most grabs in the passing game. Etienne put up 10 carries for 71 yards, 3 receptions for 43, which isn't much, but it's what we all hope for in drafting him, that he would be a rich man's Nyheim Hines by getting all the 3rd down work. Now, I don't care if Bill Belichick rolls out 11 Ghostbusters. They are going to play some defense. They shut out the Lions like we all expected. Damian Harris went down with a hamstring injury and was ruled out after halftime. It was officially Ramondre Stevenson's season, and he didn't disappoint. He took every snap from that point forward and had a career day with 161 rushing yards. Now, I expect Mac Jones to play next week, and this offense should be even better. Jacoby Myers is more than likely on your waiver wire because he's about as boring as cornflakes with no sugar. But he is a weekly flex play. He put up 7 for 111 and a TD with a backup quarterback. There was a Hunter Henry showing going 4 for 54, but I think that's only because Jonnu Smith is not playing. What were the Lions doing? This is why I hate playing guys in their first game back from injury. If you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, on your team, then you started him. having no clue that he would be on the pitch count. He played on 21 of the 66 snaps, going 4 for 18. He's clearly not healthy, but should be a full go after they come back from their week 6 bye. I was dead wrong about Geno Smith, and I would rather stay wrong than for him to revert back to the Geno Smith of old. I'm fine with that because I just want every team to have relevant players. And it's difficult not to have startable fantasy players on an NFL team. Geno went 16 for 25 and threw some darts on his way to this stat line. It wasn't a bunch of dinks and dunks. He's just getting more comfortable every week in this offense and looking more and more like the QB we remember from West Virginia. Lockett and Metcalf both had great games. As far as his backfield, we hate to see injuries, but they're just part of the game as helmets. As soon as we thought Penny was good to go, he breaks his tibia and is out for the season. Kenneth Walker took over the backfield and put up 88 yards and a TD. With the loss of Penny, this makes this a two-man committee, which makes it more fantasy-friendly because you can't trust a three-headed backfield unless you're the Saints, who are sharing the backfield with a running back that's a tight end and a QB and a special teams player that's a babysitter for the team moms on the weekends. Taysom Hill does it all, and he broke the game Sunday. I don't think they can just shove Robin Williams back in the genie bottle. This is going to be an extremely volatile start for the rest of the season, and you're going to be chasing this game. But tight ends are so bad right now that it's worth a shot. I'll take a Taysom Hill goal line carry over Robert Tonyan sharing tight end snaps with 97-year-old Mercedes Lewis. Taysom threw 1 touchdown and ran for 3. Could this be a result of them losing so many wide receivers? Not sure. But what I am sure of is if they can get him 10 rushes a game, it's a weekly tight end starter for me every single week. Kamara was back from his rib injury with vengeance. 23 carries for 103 yards and included 6 grabs for 91 yards. Teams usually go with what works, so this could be a Batman and Robin situation. But it seems like Taysom playing time went up with Dalton as the QB. We'll have to monitor the situation once Winston is back and healthy and see if Taysom Hill is an every week starter. Jets versus Dolphins. Teddy Two Gloves left this game super early with a concussion, and Tyreek Hill left the game late with an ankle injury, and he was sporting a walking boot after the game. It was pretty much all bad for the Fins. Raheem Mostert dominated the touches for the second game in a row. He played 46 of the 67 snaps and ran 20 routes to Chase Edmonds' 5. So he's entrenched as the Fins running back 1. And maybe that's a result of Tua not playing. Regardless, he's getting the touches, and Chase should sit on your bench until you know if he can land the passing down the roll again. None of the Jets' receiving options can be trusted. That may possibly change once they're forced to throw the ball more. When would they ever have a 20-point lead on the team again? Likely never. Last week was Breece Hall's coming out party, not this week. I was super low on him during the draft because I just didn't view him as a third rounder. For all of you that took that chance in the draft or bought him before the breakout, I commend you. If you have Michael Carter, you should trade him for 2 half-bitten Boston baked beans because he was lucky to score 2 TDs, and his numbers and snaps will decrease each and every week. Bucs versus Falcons. The Falcons' backfield is about to get even more crowded because Damian Williams is eligible to return from IR this week. Now, I did pick up Tyler Algier, but didn't have to start him. But I'll hang on to him for another week to see how the snaps turn out. But when you look at it, he did dominate the touches. He did little to nothing, but the most important piece is that he ran 19 routes out of the backfield. And he got the bulk of the third down route. To further understand the routes he ran, Drake London ran 22 routes, so just 3 more. This is just a bad offense right now, and I don't know if you can start any of these guys with trust right now. All right, when it comes to the Bucs side of the ball, you had to know that Uncle Leonard Fournette couldn't sustain playing 80 to 90% of the snaps. Rachaad White is going to get more annoying over the course of the year for Fournette owners, but the schedule is about to get a little easier, and the Bucs will have a ton of opportunities or TD opportunities in the coming weeks. Eagles Cardinals. I think we all pegged this to be a high-flying basketball score type of game. Hurts came away with 2 rushing TDs, but didn't pass for 1. A.J. Brown put up his first real dud of the season, and you have to expect a mediocre performance here and there. What you can say about the Eagles is that they will have their best player scoring points. We haven't seen Quez Watkins or Kenneth Gainwell put up any crazy numbers, so you just have to take the good with the bad, and this offense will have sunnier days ahead. All Marquise Brown does is put up 20 points a game, 8 receptions, 78 yards, and a TD. He has been an absolute draft steal. Most experts will say sell high. And I'm on that train depending on what's in return, but it's hard to part ways with 20 points a game from one player, even if you see DeAndre Hopkins gallivanting in the horizon. James Conner went down with the rib injury, and Darrell Williams left the game with a knee injury, so it could be Eno Benjamin's season, or one game. AJ Green was back, and I think he had a knee injury, but this put Rondale Moore back into the slot, in which he went 7 for 68, and put Greg Dortch so far down on the bench that he had to play catch with the ball boy all game. As long as Rondale Moore mans the slot, he's a weekly flex play. All right, let's get into the most important part of fantasy, and that's the waiver wire. The first QB to add is a player that I've had every week on the waiver episode for like a month now. And I've had some reservations and put out some disclaimers while telling you to grab him, but it's Geno Smith. Even if you have a solid QB, go get Geno, because you may possibly be playing defense against your opponent that may have to start Geno. Man, that felt gross to say. But Geno play has been remarkable. He's 35% on, has 3 straight games with 2 touchdowns or more, and he threw for 300 in 2 of those 3 games. His next 3 games are the Cardinals, the Chargers, and the Giants. If you have Russell Wilson, he should have already been released by now. By way of an injury, the number 1 running back to add is Kenneth Sky Walker, the third of the Seattle Seahawks. Rashad Penny broke his tibia and is out for the season. This leaves Kenneth Walker as the starter, sharing time with DJ Dallas. Now, I didn't want any parts of a 3-headed backfield, but this is shaping up to be a solid offense. Walker had a 69-yard TD on the day, and he did little to nothing outside of that, but I've said it a million times. If he's a starting running back, put him on your team. This is the year of the handcuff. So many running backs are just going down weekly. I usually don't handcuff, but you probably should at this point. The number 2 running back, that is a risky ad, because you'll be wasting a waiver claim if the starter can play this week, but it's Eno Benjamin of the Arizona Cardinals. He's 11% owned, but it's only a good start if James Conner misses time, who left the game last week with a rib injury. The running back 2 of this team is Darrell Williams, who left the contest with a knee injury. So this leaves Benjamin as the lone wolf. He put up 53 yards and a TD on 11 touches last week. So if he's the RB1 for the Cardinals next week, then he's a back-end RB2 in fantasy. The number 1 wide receiver to pick up has been on this list a few times, and he's so boring that people have they're going to yawn while adding him. But it's Jacoby Myers of the New England Patriots. He's missed weeks 3 and week 4 because of a knee injury, but he was back to dominating the touches for his team, even without Mac Jones. He caught 7 catches on 8 targets for 111 yards and a TD. They face Cleveland next week, but I'm starting to think he's matchup proof. He's going to find a way to get 10 PPR points weekly. The number 2 wide receiver to pick up is Rondale Moore of the Cardinals. In his first game back, he was forced to play outside with the absence of Hopkins for his suspension and AJ Green, who was injured. So he simply was out of place and wasn't targeted like he should have been. In the return of AJ Green last week, Rondale went back to the slot position and put up 7 for 68, where he dominated the slot, and Greg Dortch only played 2 snaps. The number 3 wide receiver to pick up should be added after waivers go through, and that's Isaiah McKenzie. But as of now, he's still in concussion protocol, so I wouldn't waste a claim on him. But once he's back to full strength and healthy, he has the possibility of being the second on this team in targets, which is the Buffalo Bills. The number 1 tight end to add is Taysom Hill. He literally broke the game against the Seahawks. Now, I'm going to be terrified to start him, but I don't think the Saints can open and close Pandora's box here. He's just too good at running the football. You know what he's going to do, and he's never stopped on the run. I think we're all going to be disappointed by chasing last week's stat line, but he has to be mentioned, and probably worth a start if you're starting someone like Cole Kmet. Good luck on your waivers. Winston Wolf out.